Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel La Fraise. I'm Naomi and this week I'm going to show you how to attach a beautiful neckband on your t-shirts. You might know that at the moment I have a series of videos coming out where I review a ton of free t-shirt patterns, so please go and check that out if you want to find the perfect free t-shirt pattern for you. Now, maybe you have tried the method in the pattern that you have chosen and you're not a fan. I will show you my favorite way to sew down a neckband. Now, many patterns will use exactly this method, so it's nothing groundbreaking, but I know that some of you like to see things being shown to you, so here's a quick tutorial on how I do it. To attach a neckband, you first need a little piece of fabric to be your neckband. If you have a pattern piece in your pattern, I would start with just using that. I know that some people like to cut their own and their own sizes. I personally never had an issue with the size suggested in the pattern itself, so honestly I would start with this. And for the height, what you want is basically the desired height of the neckband plus seam allowance, the one of your choice or slash that the pattern uses, times 2 as you open it like this. Let's start by attaching the two ends to make a loop, and we do this right side against right side. I use a zigzag stitch that is 2.5 wide to do this, but you can use your favorite method to close this. Then once you have your seam shut here, I sometimes, depending on the thickness of the fabric, I will either push my seam allowance to the side. I will sometimes push one to one side, one to the other, and then fold it like this so that the seam allowances point in different direction and don't overlap. I think today I will just open my seam allowance and fold it in two. And this is where I put my first clip. You can also do this with pins if you don't have clips. I use clips for this step because it is a little bit faster, but you will see that I will use pins in a second. So I'm folding my neckband and it's wrong side against wrong side, so I can see the right side of my neckband here. And what I do is that I put the first pin I have placed here on one side, I hold the neckband like this, and where this finger is where my second clip is going to go. And this has marked half of my neckband. I then put the two clips leveled with each other, and that gives me the 2/4. Level the two clips, pull, and mark the quarter. So now I have 4 clips here marking the 4/4 of my neckband. I will now take my t-shirt. The moment where I choose to put my neckband, it is the moment that most patterns are going to tell you, but if your pattern says otherwise, please consider doing it now. I have simply attached the shoulder seams and the rest is still undone. I find that it's much easier to place the neckbands before the sleeves and everything are attached. So what I'm going to do now is place the shoulder seams together, pull to find the middle of the back, once more shoulder seams together, pull and find the middle of the front, and then do not, I repeat, do not place the next two on your shoulder seams. Your shoulder seams might not be, depending on the shape of your neck, the quarter of your neckband. So do measure the quarter the same way we have done with the neckband. So I put the two clips together, I pull lightly to find the quarter, and I place it. I'm going to take this one, which is, as you can see, the seam is here, and I'm going to match this clip with this clip. I'm first going to just match the clip, but once you see the system, you could actually go straight with the pins here. I'm kind of showing you the long way so you understand exactly what's happening. I then go, so I match the neckband onto the side, and I'm going to match the quarter clip with the quarter clip, front and front, and the last quarter. Now, what I like to do is to swap the clips for a pin, which I am going to put like this. Do not put it like this, because this is not going to keep it in place. Your neckband could actually slide up and it would be very difficult to sew. So you really need to make sure that it goes in and out of the neckband. Now I have 4 pins showing my 4/4. What I'm going to do now is stretch between the 2 pins until the actual fabric of the t-shirt meets the neckband, and I'm going to mark the middle. So in short, what I'm doing is actually marking the 1/8, and this will allow for the little pockets of fabric between pins to be quite small and more manageable. If you are very comfortable, you can definitely do it with just the 4 pins, but I find it much easier to add those pins in between. I have for a very long time done only with 4 pins, and I have reverted back to 8 because I found that it gave such a neater finish. And also I have changed from clips to pins. I used to use clips because they were much faster, but actually the clips slide on your fabric. They don't grip quite the same way. Obviously the pin is planted in your fabric, so it's not going to go anywhere. So this is what you have at this point. You have the back matching the back, and then all around your neckline you have 8 pins, and between each pin you have the 2 layers of the neckband and a little bit looser layer of the garment. I personally sew with the neckband on top. This is personal preference, and I know that some patterns tell you to do otherwise. I personally like it this way, that's how I do it, but just know that you can kind of test both and see what works best for you. What I pay attention to when I sew my neckband is that the 3 row edges are matching. I generally don't stretch over the center seam here of my neckband, so I'm just going to go over the seam. I don't backstitch when I start my loop. Here we are, I've gone over the seam, I remove my pin. The reason why many patterns will tell you to have the garment on top is to make sure that you don't stretch it, because here what you can see is that I'm stretching the neckband so that it matches the length of the garment. I don't stretch overly because I don't want the garment underneath to stretch, but so that's something to be careful of. I really find it more comfortable this way, but if you think that you are going to be able to control the stretch of the garment underneath better the other way around, please do the other way around. Do not stretch the garment. So I reach the next pin, I remove it, I put my fingers near the following one, I make sure that the 3 row edges are matching, and I go. Don't hesitate to take your time and reposition the fabric every time. I just make sure that my shoulder seams are going the direction I want them to, but if you were a bit worried about that, you could have a pin there as well. And here I'm going to match finally the start of my seam, so let me just sew this. Once I have matched where I started, I go a little bit further, I backstitch. Doing the back stitch only on the way back allows me to not have too much thickness of thread, because anyway the first seam is stuck under the second one. We're almost there, let me snip my threads. This is a good moment to check that everything looks fine and that you are happy with your color so far. By the way, if I had been a reasonable human being, I would have told you that you can also baste your color first if you want to make sure that it's all fine, but I think with the 8 clips and a tiny bit of practice, you should be fine without basting it. Now, what we are going to do is to top stitch the seam allowance. You could obviously leave this like this, and this shouldn't be visible, but I personally hate being able to feel the seam allowance flapping up towards my face. Even though it's short enough to not be visible, I don't like feeling it, and I really like to have it top stitched. Now, the way I'm going to show you is not going to work if you want to use a twin needle, and if you want to use a twin needle, you're going to need to top stitch facing the front, and it's going to look great. So if you want to do that, but then you need to be a little bit more careful and feel the seam allowance from the front and make sure that it's facing the right way. Totally possible. I believe in you, you'll be great. But what I like to do is face the wrong way. This way I can make sure that I go over the seam allowance and that it is nice and caught. So I place the wrong side of my t-shirt facing me, and this is a game of going slowly and patiently, because as I go, I'm going to gently pull the fabric. I'm not stretching it, I'm not pulling it. This is going to look awful. I just want to make sure that it is always flat. I'm starting on the other side of my seam here, and I don't backstitch. So what you can see is that I'm gently pulling here, very gently, and like I'm not pulling it, I'm just keeping it out of the way. And I'm also maintaining the seam allowance nice and flat where I want it, and I'm going to go all around doing this. Pins will not help you much here, but going slowly and patiently will. As we are curving around the neckline, still, I pull gently, I place my seam allowance. Once I reach where I started, I'm going to do a quick back stitch. And that's it. This is from the inside. You have your first seam and then your top stitch seam. And this is from the outside. So as you can see, having gently pulled this out of the way, I don't have any bubbles here, I don't have any puckers, because I made sure as I went that everything was nice and flat. If it's generally going to be the case at the back. If you find that your seam is a little bit wavy, give it a bit of steam. Don't press it, but steam over it, and it tends to help a lot. I personally just wear it like this for the first time, and then after one go in the wash, it tends to flatten and already sink into the fabric a little bit more. But this is your neckband done. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Don't hesitate to watch my series over t-shirt patterns, and I will see you in the next one. And don't forget that you can make anything. Bye! I do look like a Roman empress with my laurel here, no?